Alright guys, for today's install, we're going to be doing front brakes. What you're going to need for this is new brake pads, a clamp, dog toy, jack, tire iron, and a 15mm and a 13mm open wrench. That's all you're going to need for this, so let's get started. First step, what you're going to want to do is put your parking brake on in your Jeep. Make sure it's in park. Emergency brake. Four-wheel drive helps because it'll lock the front and it'll help with getting lug nuts off. Easiest way to go by this to start is loosen all 5 lug nuts, or if you're cooler, 8 lug nuts on the front. And then once you get those, you can jack it up and then remove the wheel. Do not remove them all while it's still on the ground. Just simply loosen them to break that first tension. Then when it's in the air, you can remove the rest of the lugs and take the tire off. Alright guys, sorry about the barking. He literally just started as I pressed record. So what's the next step? Once you get the wheel off, this right here is your brake caliper. Mine's going to look a little bit different than yours because I have the Terraflex big brake kit with the stock caliper. They have 2 kits, you can check them out. But so your next step to do here is get a 15mm and a 13mm. You have to be careful with this part because not every single 15mm works. It's got to be a decently thin one. The reason I say is because when you do it, you have 2 spots up here. On the top caliper, I like to do the top ones, that way you can just fold down the caliper when you're done. As opposed to having to fold it upward and hold it, it just gets kind of awkward. So I always do the top one. So the 13mm goes on the outside. The 15 goes on the inside. If you take a look at it, you'll see that there's a solid bolt through here and then a nut on the other side. That's to tighten it more so to the caliper bracket. So just make sure that you can find one that fits. Put it in there, loosen that. Once you get that loosened, it's pretty easy. Just one simple pop at the end and it all comes up. Make sure you don't lose that. Now it's going to be a little bit tight because of the pressure of the brakes, but should simply just fall out like that. If you're just having a little bit of trouble, you can loosen the bottom ones. You don't need to remove them. Just loosen it and it'll slide down easier. So then you want to go and take your old brake pads, kind of slide them over there. There's one side. And these little pieces right here, these help hold the brake pad in there. If yours happens to come out, you'll see that it has a small clip end and a big clip end. The small one goes on the inside. This one always goes on the outside. And it's kind of a U shape. The U always goes with the U that's on here. Just like that. If it falls out while you're doing this, do not worry. Alright, once that is out, you go ahead and get your new brake pads. You'll see that 2 of them have these little pieces hanging out here. These are so when if you notice that your brakes are squealing and your pads aren't exactly new, it's this little pin here goes against your rotor. So every time you press the brakes, it makes a little screaming noise to also help let you know that you need new brakes. So easiest way to separate them. Each side's going to have one, so one of those. This one does not. There you go. So this step right here is very important. You can either do this sometimes with a screwdriver, but I don't like to. This is where this clamp comes in handy. It's $3 from Harbor Freight. your brake caliper, this inner piston right here, this is what your brakes really are. When you press the brakes, it pushes this piston out. You don't want to get one. Well, you want to press that back in. So when you get new brake pads that are thicker than the old ones, so you want to actually make sure that, you know, you gotta push that piston back in to fit around the new brake pads. The only issue with that is pushing it back in isn't always that easy. So what I like to do is get a clamp like this, put the adjustable inner piece into the piston. Careful on the other side because you do have some important brake components over there, including your brake line. And then basically retighten this back up. When you're putting the brake pad in, notice that there's a curve on one side, and the other side has a smaller curve. It's the same with your rotor. Got the big curve on the outside and the smaller curve on the inside. Sometimes these can be a little fidgety to get in, so you just got to work with it, and eventually it will go in. Make sure, again, that you have these two clip pieces in here, otherwise your brake pad will be able to move, and you do not want that. There you go. Got them both seated in correctly. It's a little bit harder with these Terraflex caliper brackets because the piece right here goes out more, so I have to move around there. But once you get them nice in, make sure you have these little shields here. This is just to help so that all the pressure is going directly onto the pad. It's going onto this little metal piece here, which presses against the pad. What you then want to do, push this back up, wiggle it around so that you can fit over it. If you need to push your piston back in more, do so. At this point, get your 13mm little bolt here. If you're pushing it and you realize it won't go back in, there's something hitting it, this part where the bolt is, the nut is movable. Don't pull it out too far because you will release it from the caliper bracket and then you'll have to re-grease it and put it back in. Simply just kind of push it forward or push it backward and then we'll move out of the way. Put the new one in the old hole, giggity, and then tighten her up. Once you get that nice and tight, basically that's it. When you go back into your Jeep, you're going to have to press the brakes a few times because you're going to have to push that piston back to where it was because now there's a little gap. So while you're in park still, you know, turn the Jeep on, pump the brakes a few times, it'll push the pistons back out. Try not to touch the rotor. If you get your fingerprints on there, it puts residue and all this grease on there, and the last thing you want on your rotor, the thing that helps you stop, is a lubricant. So if you do happen to get your fingerprints all over it, just get some brake rotor spray and just spray it on there. It'll take anything off. While you have the wheel off, make sure that there's no dirt under your mounting spot, whether you have spacers or not. If you get some dirt under there and you tighten the wheel back on, the dirt eventually is going to come off. Then that one spot on your wheel won't be tight. And you don't want a loose wheel while you're driving. So next step now is to put the wheel back on, and then I'll see you next step. Alright guys, when it comes to tightening your wheel back on, you want to remember to do the star pattern. If you don't know what that is, first you get all your lug nuts, hand tighten them on there while the Jeep's still in the air. Again, this is where four-wheel drive comes in handy because it locks the wheel. Or you can just turn on your locker and it'll do the same concept. I think that dog is watching me. He only starts barking when I start recording. So what you want to do then, this is where the star pattern comes. You tighten one snug, then you go down. You don't go to the one next to it, you skip one over. Get that one snug, skip that, go to this one. You're basically going to the one on the opposite side that you've already had and done. Again, skip. Get them nice and tight. Alright, once you have them all done, basically start over. I like to give that one last little bit. It's kind of a crucial part to your vehicle to have the wheels stay on, so I'd like to make sure mine does. Now you don't need to tighten these to where they strip. If you do that, you have a fun process of having to take those out. So basically that's it. You lower it back down, pump the brakes, do some slow test drives, let them warm up a little bit so you can kind of break in, because with new brake pads, they're not going to be the best right away. They have to move into their more permanent position, and that's when they start really doing what they do. So I decided, you can see here are my old brakes. My old brakes weren't that bad, but my right brake caliper is seized. Let's see if we can do something here. There you go. Alright, so there's the old one. See, there's a new one. These are my stock brakes, and it has 65,000 miles on them. My brake pads usually last a little bit longer because I downshift instead of braking. So that's something you consider. But you can see the new pads. These are the premium ones from O'Reilly. Close this box up. That's them right here. They're $45. So you can go with nice ones, you can go with the cheapo ones, do whatever you need to do. High quality brakes are worth the money. So I hope this video helps you. If you have any questions, comment them below. Like if this video did help you, and subscribe for more videos like this, guys. Alright, see you next video.